What's up, guys? It's Tristan again from www.primaledgehealth.com, and getting a little morning sunshine on my eyes, enjoying the view here from the porch in Vilcabamba, Ecuador, listening to some Moody Blues in the morning. Every good boy deserves favor. Amazing album. So, I had a question this morning on a comment on a YouTube video. Somebody asking, I had a few bites of rice today and 2 glasses of whole milk, and I'm still around 30 grams of carb. Is that okay while I'm trying to adapt to ketosis? I've been doing 3 days of keto. Now, long story short, no. You don't want to be eating rice and drinking milk as your source of carbohydrates on a ketogenic diet. You don't want to be intaking anything that's a source of sugars and starches while you're trying to induce ketosis. The carbohydrates that you're going to eat, so I'll probably title this video, what types of carbs should I eat when I'm trying to start a ketogenic diet, or when I'm starting a ketogenic diet. Now, the carbohydrates you want to eat are not going to be energetic carbs. It's not like when you're on a carbohydrate-based diet where eating rice is going to be good, quick energy, where drinking milk is going to give you some nice energy with some protein and fats in there too. You're going to be looking at carbohydrates in a totally different way. You got to kind of shift your perception about how you're utilizing carbohydrates while you're doing a ketogenic diet. So, when you're doing keto, you're trying to induce ketosis, you do not want to be eating any starchy carbs. You don't want to be eating any rice. You want to stay away from things like grains, potatoes, tubers, pretty much any like root vegetable you're going to want to avoid. It's going to have too much starch. It's going to boost your insulin, it's going to raise your blood sugar up, and it's going to keep you from being able to adapt to ketosis. You want to force your body to be able to produce ketones. Your body has to be told that fat is its new fuel source. So, you're not looking at carbs as energy sources anymore. You shift your perception, and fats become your energy source. So you're going to be using fats as your energy source, and the carbohydrates in your diet, now here's the clincher. The carbohydrates in your diet, you're going to have to rearrange your relationship with those because they're not for energy anymore. When you're on a ketogenic diet, the carbohydrates are sources of phytonutrients, micronutrients, and fiber, vegetable fiber. So, what types of carbohydrates should you eat on a ketogenic diet? The types of carbs you should eat are green vegetables, leafy vegetables, fibrous vegetables, especially fermented vegetables. You want to give your gut microbiome some substrate to ferment in there. Those good fermented vegetables like sauerkraut, really good. Always recommend that people make their own sauerkraut or buy a high-end sauerkraut. You can usually get them locally at farmers markets and stuff like that. But you're going to be looking at carbohydrates totally differently than if you're on a carbohydrate-based diet. Now, if you're eating carbs, like when I eat carbs, for instance, the carbs I'm going for are energy sources. When I'm eating carbohydrates on a carbohydrate-based diet, I'm looking at carbs as energy. When I'm eating carbohydrates on a ketogenic diet, I'm looking at carbs as fiber. That's what I'm looking at them as sources of micronutrients, namely magnesium and potassium, and fiber. So I'm looking for dark leafy green vegetables, stuff like spinach, kale, broccoli, cauliflower. Cauliflower is one of my favorite. Even though it's not dark and leafy green, and it might not be as micronutrient, phytonutrient dense as other foods, I really like the texture of cauliflower, and it goes really good with fats. You can make kind of a cauliflower rice type thing, or cauliflower mashed potato type substance that, in my opinion, tastes way better than potatoes, which always make me fart and give me digestive issues for years and years. But yeah, you got to shift your perception on how you're using carbohydrates and what you're using them for. When you're doing keto, carbohydrates equal fiber. So remember that. When you're adapting ketosis, carbohydrates equals fiber, as well as magnesium and potassium. So great carb sources, like I said, would be spinach, broccoli, kale. Let's see what else. Those are all like the standard ones, the ones that are easily available to most people. But there's also a lot of other ones like, let's see, Brussels sprouts. I really like Brussels sprouts. They're really good. You can saute them or bake them with butter and coconut oil and spices. Can be awesome. Any leafy green vegetable, any fibery green vegetable is going to be good. Root vegetables, veggies that grow under the ground, you want to avoid those when you're doing keto. Save those when you're on a carb-based diet. You're going to have to rearrange your taste, your perception of carbohydrates, and it is well worth it. Adapting to keto, you will not miss the rice. Trust me, you will not miss the potatoes. Trust me, especially if you get into that deep ketogenic state and you're able to maintain it for at least a few months and you're going to reap the benefits of it, you won't miss those starchy carbohydrates, the sugary carbohydrates. And yeah, so having a few sips of milk, or I'm sorry, a couple glasses of whole milk, not going to be a good idea when trying to adapt to ketosis. That will bar your adaptation. That will block you from being able to adapt. Later on, you can be a little more lenient with your carbohydrates when you're well adapted, but in the beginning, you got to kind of be strict. You got to keep those carbs low, low, low. And the carbs you're eating are going to be fiber sources and micronutrient sources. So you want to go for leafy green vegetables, fermented vegetables especially, to feed your gut microbiome, to keep your gut bacteria in balance, to keep your digestion good, which is really, really important. So yeah, ketogenic diet, carbohydrates equals micronutrients and fiber. On a carbohydrate-based diet, carbohydrates are energy. But now when you're doing keto, you got to be looking at fats as your energy sources. So don't waste your 30 grams and under. Now this is not a magic number. A lot of people pretend that 30 grams is like the magic number. Some people got to eat less than 30 grams to really well adapt to ketosis. Some people can eat significantly more. It all depends on the individual, on the genetics, on the activity level, on the metabolic health of the individual, is going to determine your carbohydrate tolerance. So that's for another video. I'll talk about carbohydrate tolerance on ketogenic diet later on. But any carb that's going to spike your blood sugar significantly, not going to help you adapt to ketosis. So you're going to be looking at carbs as fiber sources, as micronutrient sources. Get over the carbohydrates as energy thing. Fats are going to become your new energy source while you're on a ketogenic diet.